Picture a woman who seems to have it all perfectly together. She's polite, she's fiercely independent, she literally never misses a detail, and she is, secretly, deeply exhausted. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're exploring a totally fascinating reality. You see, in clinical psychiatry, the seamless, flawless normalcy often masks something entirely unexpected, an autism spectrum disorder.
Have you or a loved one ever related to this hidden burnout? You look at someone, or maybe you even look in the mirror, and you just have to wonder, why do some people who seem perfectly fine feel completely exhausted at the end of every single day? Well, today we're going to uncover the invisible, monumental effort behind just trying to look normal. All right, let's dive into Section 1, the illusion of normal.
Look at the stark contrast we have going on here. To the outside world, this behavior looks polite, independent, and calm. These are traits that society absolutely loves and praises, right? But the internal reality? That's a whole different story. We're talking about a reliance on rigid routines, a desperate, non-negotiable need for recovery time, and deeply suppressed expression. We're looking at a situation where the exact traits a person is highly praised for can actually hide an immense amount of internal fatigue and daily struggle.
Moving right along to Section 2, 5 hidden ASD traits.
So here's a brief roadmap of the 5 traits we're about to unpack. First, camouflaging. Second, detail obsession. Third, passive concordance. Fourth, internalized emotion. And fifth, solitude for recovery. Now, I really want you to keep in mind as we go through these that they are very often survival mechanisms. They are ways to navigate a world that doesn't quite fit rather than just everyday personality quirks. Let's kick things off with camouflaging. This is the invisible effort of manually learning and mimicking social rules. I mean, imagine having to intentionally memorize when to laugh, how to nod, and how to match a conversation topic exactly as if you were memorizing the vocabulary of a foreign language. The reason social interaction is so incredibly draining here is because the person is constantly translating their behavior to act normal. They aren't just casually chatting, they're performing a highly complex, active translation all day long. No wonder they're exhausted.
And that brilliantly illustrates our second point, obsession. In the workplace or at home, this trait is so often praised as thoroughness, executing flawless work or cooking with exact step-by-step precision. But the hidden cost is that this isn't just a preference for being neat, it's a rigid need. When routines change unexpectedly, it doesn't just cause a little annoyance, it can cause near panic. It's wild because a rigid obsession with routine is so often mistakenly praised by colleagues as simply being highly organized or extremely polite.
Next up, we have the passive type. This refers to avoiding conflict, but here's the catch. It's not out of genuine agreement with the other person. Instead, it actually stems from an inability to know exactly how to express one's own opinions or set boundaries. A lack of conflict doesn't mean the person is fine. In fact, they're often deeply overwhelmed because they literally don't know how to say no. They end up taking on way too much and agreeing to things they can't handle simply because the mechanism to push back just isn't there.
Our fourth trait is emotion. Having an unchanging facial expression or a flat tone of voice often makes a person look incredibly calm and mature to everyone else. But the reality is that this outward appearance masks an intensely vibrant emotional world. It's not that they aren't feeling anything, it's that they simply lack the energy or the specific expressive tools to show it outwardly. Think of it like a rushing river of intense feelings hidden beneath a totally calm surface.
Finally, trait 5 is solitude. Society loves that cool, independent lifestyle stereotype. We praise the person who sits alone at a cafe, seemingly perfectly content. But we really need to reframe this completely. This isolation isn't just a chic lifestyle preference, it is an absolute, desperate requirement for recovery. After spending all day manually translating social cues, being completely alone is literally the only way to recharge a heavily depleted social battery.
So, it really makes you wonder. What does it actually look like when these traits are allowed to exist naturally, entirely without the exhausting pressure to camouflage?
Which brings us to Section 3, a cinematic prescription.
To show you what this looks like without the pressure of clinical labels, we can look at what's called a cinematic prescription, a film that serves as a gentle, comforting mirror. The film is called Kamome Diner, directed by Naoko Ogigami. It follows a protagonist named Sachie, who runs a tiny traditional Japanese diner all by herself in Helsinki, Finland. It's a quiet film, there are no massive dramatic explosions, but it is incredibly revealing for our topic today.
Let's look at Section 4,
Sachie's natural state.
Let's break down how this actually plays out for Sachie. Instead of an exhausting obsession, she makes onigiri, rice balls, with exacting, peaceful precision every single day, even when no customers come. For the passive trait, she naturally maintains a comfortable, detached distance with others. Regarding emotion, her facial expressions barely change, whether she's facing a strange customer or an empty restaurant. And for solitude, she is thriving completely alone in Helsinki, far from her home country. Her daily life perfectly aligns with the ASD traits we outlined earlier, but the film frames them beautifully as her natural, peaceful state. She is completely free of the pressure to camouflage, feeling absolutely no need to explain why she is there or why she does things the way she does.
And that leads us to our final section, Section 5, Acknowledging Your Effort.
Here is the truly crucial point for how we apply this understanding to ourselves and the people around us. What's so remarkable is that the film Kamome Diner never mentions the term ASD even once. And that lack of clinical labels? That is exactly the point. It shows that these traits aren't flaws that need to be aggressively fixed or constantly hidden away. They are simply a valid, quiet way of existing in the world. When you remove the societal pressure to perform normalcy, the exhaustion fades and a peaceful routine can finally take its place.
I want to share this absolutely incredible quote from psychiatrist Dr. Rai, whose insights form the basis of our explainer today. She says, "Looking normal isn't because you are weak. You've just been working hard unnoticed. If you've been manually translating social cues your whole life, if you've been masking your need for extreme routine just to appear polite and organized, I want to validate that immense, unseen effort you've been putting in just to survive everyday life. You haven't been failing. You've been working incredibly hard, entirely unnoticed."
Which leads us to our final reflection today. I really want you to ask yourself, how much energy are you spending just trying to look normal? And what would happen if you finally acknowledged your own unseen effort? Take a moment today to appreciate the invisible work you, or perhaps someone you love, does every single day. Let that sink in. Thank you so much for diving into this explainer with me, and I hope this perspective allows you to see yourself and others with a whole lot more grace.